Well, so it's another weekend, and before you go home, just have something at the back of your mind so that you can inform the way you respond to certain issues, especially the air around you. Now, the air we breathe is slowly killing us, and we barely notice. Every breath filled with invisible fine dust particles chips away at our health. Municipalities across the Greater Accra have pledged to reduce air pollution by 30% by 2023. 2023 is over, but the clock is ticking. Now, this silent menace is now the world's greatest external risk to human health, causing more harm than smoking or even car crashes. And we've put together these figures to illustrate the point I'm trying to make this afternoon. So, for example, 28,000 Ghanaians die prematurely every year as a result of air pollution. And this you may not know. By the time you get to hospital, it will become too late. And so the statistics as we have it, according to the World Health Organization, 28,000 Ghanaians die prematurely every year as a result of air pollution. And annual average, that's PM2 concentration, that's the quality in Ghana, is 11 times higher than WHO concentration level. So in terms of what is acceptable, the quality of air and the pollution that is acceptable, Ghana is 11 times higher than what the WHO recommend for all member countries. Also, 40% of Accra air pollution concentration are attributed to road transport. And other causes of air pollution in Accra, we have biomass fuel, industrial and power plant emissions, and soil dust. And these are all, records from the World Health Organization concentrating on the situation in Ghana. So air pollution reduces average person's life expectancy by 1.9%, almost 2%, almost 2 years. So the air you are breathing this afternoon could be reducing your lifespan. It's not about the food you eat or whatever, but the air itself is reducing you by 2 years. So as we mark the International Day of Clean Air for Blue Skies, we confront a harsh truth. Our fight against air pollution is only just beginning, and the stakes have never been higher. This afternoon, we have assembled great minds within that space to speak on air pollution. My guest this afternoon is Desmond Appiah. He's a country lead, Clean Air Fund. We also have Kelvin Yeboah, Project Coordinator, Ghana Air Quality and Brief Accra Project, and of course, Krista Hasenkopf, Director, Clean Air Program at the Energy Policy Institute at the University of Chicago. And these are, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to the Pulse here on Joy News. I didn't hear you. If you can unmute for me so that I can hear you very well.
Thank you for having us.
All right.
Thank you.
Right, so let me start with, from the university, let me start from Chicago, and let's speak to, let me understand, Krista. So Krista, you've put together this study. I'm wondering if you can tell us the outcome of this study to form the basis of our discussion.
Yeah, so last month, as you mentioned, we released our annual report that details how many years of life a person could gain if the air quality were to meet the WHO guidelines for particulate pollution. So smoke and dust, essentially, that's small enough to cause harm to humans. And the idea of that study is to motivate and bring awareness to how air pollution affects us, and in a way that's really relevant to every individual, which is your lifespan. And so our hope is that by capturing this metric and comparing it to other diseases and risk factors, that policymakers can be better informed about prioritizing air pollution as an issue. Because as you pointed out, globally, it does cause more deaths each year than HIV, AIDS, and malaria combined. And I'd also say from our study, if you look at West and Central Africa as a whole, we find that in some regions, particulate pollution is cutting life expectancy by as much as 5.1 years. And again, that's much higher than in the region HIV, AIDS, malaria, unsafe water, sanitation, and hand washing are causing.
Right. So that's one. I mean, let's relate to this matter as it is in Ghana. I mean, this morning, and it's something that I've observed. I mean, I have taken a personal responsibility to ensure that anytime I'm driving, I roll up, because sometimes the car you are following and the emission, the thick black smoke that is coming out of the vehicle, I mean, simply tells you that this is danger in front of you. So I've made it a point, as soon as I hit the road, no matter the condition I find myself, I have to roll up. This is a Ghanaian situation. Unfortunately, we don't have any law that says that you should meet this level, this threshold of vehicle emission before your car can pass the car worthiness test at the DVLA. So we have all manner of vehicles flying our roads, polluting the air, and then making life unbearable for those who are driving or standing by. Tell us the Ghanaian situation.
Thank you very much, Elton. And it's great that Joy FM is really taking a lead in discussing air pollution and its impacts. Interestingly, in Ghana, we have standards on vehicle emission standards. We do have it. What the challenge is that it is not mandatory. And so even though when we go for a roadworthy test, they've been collecting some data on it, the fact that the vehicle did not meet that standard does not mean that the vehicle does not pass. And it is one of the conversations that we've been having with EPA and the other stakeholders like DVLA to be able to get to the stage where it becomes mandatory. And that is really the big difference. So in other jurisdictions, the vehicle emission standard is mandatory. If you don't meet that, your vehicle will not get the roadworthy ticket to be able to ply the roads. And so I think that is important that we kind of contrast that. And then again, it's very important to highlight that.
But isn't it interesting that these vehicles have, the roadworthy certificate embossed on it, yet from a layman point of view and from layman eyes, you can clearly tell that this thick smoke coming from the exhaust of this vehicle shouldn't pass it as roadworthy to use our roads, knowing very well the danger this vehicle is, is putting Ghanaians in.
Yes, and that is part of why the conversations that are going on is extremely important, because then we have to get to the point where we, the citizens, are demanding that it is not just nice to have a standard, but that it should be enforced. And it kind of gives a bit of oomph to the powers that be to be able to push through it. I mean, I think I will just take a little digression and mention, we all heard the brouhaha that came up with the emissions levy.
Right.
And part of the tools that can be used to be able to address this is a levy. I mean, I have been on record to have said that I'm not so sure how we went about the introduction of an emissions levy was more for reduction in vehicle pollution, but rather seemed to be more for revenue generation. So it's a different topic that I think we can have. But back to the point about having the standard is one thing, having a mandatory standard is another thing. All vehicles in Ghana have to undergo yearly tests. In the case of even commercial vehicles and some size of vehicles, they do those tests twice in a year to check the brakes, make sure the lights are right, and the rest. The point is, you can't have a standard as we have, but if you don't make it mandatory or enforce it, then it's as good as not even having a standard at all. And that is the transition that I think we have to get to. And our standard that we have is already about 5 years and is due for renewal or review. So I think there's opportunity there. We should also remember that for some years now, nobody has been talking about air pollution. And it is now that this topic is becoming more of something that we know we have to pay attention to, thanks to some of the work like what Krista and the group have done to be able to bring it home to the ground, that if you're living in Ghana, Togo, Benin, across to Central Africa, you're already losing about 5 years of your life because of the level of the pollution. And so this is a journey. It is a conversation we need to continuously have. We need to bring it to the fore, to the point that the regulators have no option but to ensure that it is made mandatory, that the laws are strong and biting, so that people do not just take it for granted. I sometimes also, like you, follow vehicles and then you can see the smoke billowing out of it, especially even the big trucks.
Yes.
And for you
and most commercial
we are
vehicles.
lucky, yes, that we can roll up, maybe because we have air conditioner in the car. But what about our colleagues that maybe they're standing by the roadside, spending all day, maybe sitting in the trotro or the taxis, the impact that this pollution may be having on them. And so bringing this kind of information, increasing the education and the awareness is very important. It helps also to empower. We are getting more data in relation to the status quo now. And we should bear in mind, when we have more data, it gives us a strong basis on the next steps that we have to be taking.
Absolutely.
When you spoke with a road safety person earlier, you were talking about safety of vehicles. And I think usually when you talk about safety, the mind just gets to road crashes and the like. But exposure to emission fumes from vehicles, from dust in the atmosphere, for passengers in the cars, for the drivers, the mates, all those things are part of the safety concerns that we should be having. So I hope that the Road Safety Authority would also be joining in this call to ensure the implementation and enforcement of the emission standards that we have.
In fact, they have to. They have to, and it's very important. Let me hold you there. I'll come back to you, but let me bring in Kelvin Yeboah, Project Coordinator, Ghana Air Quality and Brief Accra Project. So, Kelvin, I mean, tell me, let's look at the Accra situation. I mean, everything is concentrated here in the capital, Accra. So you have almost all the big industries in Accra. I'm sure today, if I should take you on the Achimota of Franco Road, we will not be able to stand the quality of air there because of the construction works ongoing there. From where you sit and looking at the air that we breathe in Accra, will you say that it is bad or getting worse?
Okay, thank you, Elton. From where I sit, I would say the air quality in Accra is getting worse. Through the initiative and then the efforts of my project lead, Professor Kofi Amega, and then funding from Clean Air Fund, we've been able to set up a monitoring network. So now we have about 60 plus of low-cost air quality sensors in Accra. So now we know the levels. Just like Mr. Pia said, we didn't know the levels some time ago, but now we have data. So with this Breathe Accra project and then the Ghana Urban Air Quality Project, we are trying to bridge the data gap. And it will amaze you that we have a year's data, and then we've been able to identify about 8 air pollution hotspots in Accra.
In Accra alone?
Including Aboboshi Market, Nima Market, Madina Zongo Junction, La Paz, Choco. And the most amazing thing is that we talk about the WHO levels. Now, our data shows that these areas have about 10 times, up to 10 times, especially for Aboboshi Market, that's about 10 times the levels of WHO guidelines.
In fact, Aboboshi is no surprise. Aboboshi is no surprise because Aboboshi is described as the headquarters of electronic waste.
Yeah. So the air quality in Accra is actually getting worse. But then, just like Mr. Pia said, education and awareness, we've been doing a whole lot of education, risk communication, and then the most important thing we want to do is that we want to make the data openly accessible to is going on in Accra. The levels are a bit higher than those in the other areas. We actually have other sensors across the metropolitan areas in Ghana. So for instance, when you go to Kaswa, you go to Tamale, you go to Kumasi, we have sensors there.
Right.
And even close to you, Ebri, you'll be able to compare the levels in Ebri to Accra, and then you know that Accra is really, really, really getting worse in terms of the air quality.
Right. Let me go to Krista. So, Krista, I mean, the research that you did, I don't know whether you...
And we don't have solutions. We don't think it's necessarily our place with where we sit, very far away from most places we're analyzing to do that. But I will say, the work that Kelvin is doing and his team with Breathe Accra, that's exactly what we see helping solve air pollution in cities and countries across the world. This initial bit of data that actually starts getting air pollution on the public's radar, on the policy radar, that constant drumbeat of having that data, not a one-time thing, not data that's there for a day and then stops, but this year on year on year data. There's actual research that shows that having that availability of that data publicly can lead to clean air in a variety of cities across the world. The key is having that data be there reliably and for it to be public. So it's, again, often these projects that start seeding data that where you eventually see success. And I have to say Ghana has become, in my view, a place that many other countries and neighbors are looking towards to see how they can replicate the data infrastructure and the expertise that Ghana is starting to have on air pollution in the region. And I think that situates the country in a very, very interesting way.
What should be the way out for you?
I mean, the thing with air pollution is there's often not a silver bullet. What it really takes is a lot of local sustained will over many years. I look at China, and China's a unique country in many, many ways. But as many of us know, it had extreme success when it comes to reducing its pollution levels over the past 10 years. It's almost reduced their pollution levels by half, which is phenomenal. Of course, they have a certain amount of resources and a certain government style. And all that being said, I think why they've also had success is because it's been a political priority and a focus. And I think where you have that successful is because at the end of the day, air pollution doesn't require completely new technology or rocket science to solve. We know the technology, we know the policies that have worked in place after place. It's really about social and political will.
All right. Let me bring in again Desmond. And Desmond, I mean, let's look at government response to this danger that we are talking about, and whether you think that there is low-level political will to get the things done rightly. Because I remember this is about a year or two ago, I spoke to the Ghana Medical Association, and they had concerns about some of the things that they were seeing at the hospital, where people came in with ailments that could be traced to the quality of air that they were exposed to, because those people, from the history that they got from them, were not smokers. And so what they were dealing with had more to do with the air that they were exposed to. And they have sent a lot of people to their graves. So the GMA warned that something must be done about it. But from where you sit, is the political will not coming in the reason why the situation appears to be getting out of hand?
I think there are a number of reasons. Political will, I would say that the definition can be a little ambiguous. In Ghana, we are known around the world that we have political will, especially when it comes to issues like air pollution. What I think we may be lacking is the political will to act, and that is a whole different ballgame. And it's very important that we're able to separate that, because the political class gets a little offended, and I think they should, when we say there's no political will, when they have made the commitment. They have, but the bit of putting the resources to ensure that there's action to address the issues, I think that is where there's a challenge. Again, there is also a gap in understanding, and I would say this at all levels. We're in Western region for an air quality program, and the regional minister said, you should take time to also educate the political class. And he was right, because a lot of programs target the technocrats and not the political class, for them to understand really what it means or what the causes are and the impacts, the economic impact. The World Bank says it's costing Ghana about $2.5 billion a year in air pollution related diseases. If you look at all the districts in Accra that we have census, and we have them in about 13 districts, and their comparison to the hospital reporting or disease rates, you would see that air pollution related diseases are usually the top part of the top three. Even if you look at the whole country, Ghana, there's a lot of research and reports from WHO showing that in the past 10 years, air pollution related diseases as causes of death has moved from like number 8 or number 9 to about number 2 and number 3 consistently in the past few years. And so if the policymakers have this understanding, and we all have a part to play in ensuring that they have that understanding, if the citizens also have an appreciation of what it means to the country and to they themselves, the discomfort, the cost to your pocket, going to hospitals, back and forth, losing work, if we understand what it also means to us, there are a lot of things that we can also be doing. And we are also working with a group to look at the bylaws of the 13 district assemblies.
Right.
Looking at the bylaws, because the assemblies are also limited by the bylaws that they have in how they can even enforce. But I think it's very encouraging that out of the Breathe Accra project that is going on, a number of the assemblies that are part of it, as their understanding has improved, have included air quality related sensitization in their outreach that they are doing. In fact, 5 of them have been able to take companies and individuals that are causing some pollution in their jurisdiction to court.
Okay.
And so the more we build awareness, the more people understand what it means, the more we appreciate our own contribution to the challenge that we are facing. We think that there will be some movement.
All right.
But definitely we have to
do more
on the pressure.
All right. So we are wrapping up. So let me bring in Kelvin, and perhaps if Desmond has a contribution, I'll allow, and then I'll speak to Krista on her last words as we bring this discussion to a close. So Kelvin, I mean, there's been calls. I mean, this week, starting last week, from everybody, and this afternoon I read a statement jointly signed by the Ghana Registered Association, the Ghana Medical Association, the pharmacists, and of course everybody is demanding that our water bodies are declared, a security zone. There should be a state of emergency declared in the mining areas to deal with the menace illegal mining is causing to the environment and water bodies. Do you think that perhaps it's about time we dedicate same attention to air quality?
Yes, I believe it's about time we do same, because just like water, air is also a very basic necessity for life. So if the air that we are breathing is becoming bad, I think it's in the best way, or it's in line if we also awarded some attention to it. Now, we've been doing a whole lot of work in terms of empowering individuals and the public to take action to improve air quality. Now, Mr. Pia mentioned that the best way is for behavioral change. Yeah. So we educate street vendors, we educate drivers, and we even had a boot camp not recently, recently for assembly members from Accra in Cape Coast here, where we took them through air pollution and then the effects. Now we, in a vision to make air quality data openly accessible to the public, we have a website where individuals or the public can go, GhanaAQ.org, and then the breatheaccra.org.
Right.
Where you can get real-time air quality data on the levels of air pollution across the metropolitan areas in Ghana. We are in the process of developing an app. The app very soon will launch it to be available on the Google Play Store and then App Store, where wherever you are, you can get real-time air quality levels, and then you'll be able to protect yourself against the impacts of air pollution.
All right, Desmond, same question. Do you think perhaps the attention we're giving to Galamsey, we should do same for air quality in Accra, in the country?
Yes, and I think in the country, Galamsey is a big menace. We are glad that the media coalition have made it the center of the conversation. And we have perused the manifestos of the 3 manifestos that have come out, and
right.
We are not seeing
any seriousness to this matter.
Yes, we are not seeing the air pollution getting the attention that it deserves. It also tells us that we still have a lot of work to do to be able to highlight what it is, the causes, the sources, the implications on our economic development. And pretty soon, the Clean Air Fund will be hosting a political dialogue on this particular issue so that we bring it to the fore for the political class to become more conscious of the real information out there, where we stand, the levels of deaths and the opportunities that we can be undertaking. We took a cue from Kelvin's group, and we are hosting a boot camp for select chief executives in Accra and all the coordinating directors from Accra next week to be able to take them through the air pollution sources, causes, the impact. And we are hoping also to be engaging in other regions in this direction.
Right.
EPA yesterday launched the revised air quality management plan, which covers the whole of Greater Accra region. We are working to develop air quality action plans based on that for Accra. And then we are going to do something for Temu as well, so that we continuously fight the menace.
Let me bring in Krista to give her the final bite on this discussion. Krista, so you are in far away from Ghana, Chicago to be precise. We are talking about a Ghanaian problem. What will be your parting words?
I would just say I really do believe Ghana has proven an example of how air quality data can start building the momentum. It's not all the way there yet, but there's a lot of progress and a lot of momentum, and I hope, I would love to see Ghana leverage that momentum to build more policy, enforceable policy to make the air clean.
All right, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Krista Hassenkopf, Director, Clean Air Program at the Energy Policy Institute at the University of Chicago. Kelvin Yabua, Project Coordinator, Ghana Air Quality and Brief Accra Project. And Desmond Apia, Country Lead, Clean Air Fund.